Hello, my name is Spurrier Dawes. I'm a global digital director at MediaCom, and this lecture is coming to you live from the nursery. So, what am I going to talk to you about today? I'm going to talk about culture and how culture is created in the rub of two different groups of people coming together, and then what that means for the internet and advertising in general. So, I think that culture is created when class and other social divides meet. The art, the thought, the opinion that is needed to drive society forward is created from the tectonic plates of different people rubbing together. And I think the clearest place that we can see this is in music. Take the original, first wave 1960s skinheads. They were born as a counterculture reaction to the middle class hippie culture and the elitist upper class culture. Their style is, in part borrowed from Jamaican rude boy culture, which they picked up from mixing with these first generation West Indies immigrants who lived with them and around them in the same working class neighborhoods in London. The beats and the rhythms of the sound systems and the relaxed marijuana sharing brought together these different groups to create a whole new culture that we still see on our streets today. The same can be seen with the punks, which was a response to an oppressive government and a very strongly defined class culture. Punk lets you create something with nothing, a garage band, and reject the mainstream in a defiance that still lives strong today. And I think by that definition, actually, rap and its subgenres are far more punk than modern punk. Although punk music was only a very short moment in time, the ethos of the maverick and rebellion still lives strong today. I think, in fact, if you have a look at any major music movement and directly relate it back to a class and societal rub, you can see where it came from. So metal and the monotonous factories of Birmingham, the dead-end jobs and the need to get out and the anger. You have a look at rock and roll and the emergence of teenagers versus the post-war just very strict adult-child relationship. You have a look at dance and the monotony of office jobs created by the bloating of the middle class. Rap was created by racial inequality in America. Grime and drill and the lack of opportunity in London suburbs strongly contextualized against the vast amounts of, frankly, disgusting wealth at very close areas to them in London. I think more important than the actual music that is that these movements create is that the way that they challenge the mainstream culture to develop and push us forward. They create the thoughts, the opinion, the inclusivity and the media that in turn creates our points of view and what we do. There is no one alive that these moments haven't touched in any way. So how does that relate to the internet? Well, I think if we need this cultural rub, if we need these two distinct groups of people coming together and the rub creating this societal push, then the internet as it exists is a dangerous countercultural tool that will destroy the way that trust and authority exists in our society. The nature of digital media means that it is infinitely, and more importantly, indiscriminately reproducible. Creating or copying any information, picture, video, or media is quick, it's easy, and it's impossible to trace the full extent of how far any one piece of information has spread. This means that anyone can get access to anything at a click of a button. There's no defined culture. There's no access for some people and not for others. There's no cultural rub. There are no borders, and there are even no reliable identities. This homogenization of people online drags everything down to the lowest common denominator, making no spaces that include some people and exclude others, which is necessary, I think, to advance society by creating this cultural rub. Combine this with how easy it is to publish something online and how little it costs in time, resource and money to spread this information, and suddenly we are flooded with information which is exceedingly difficult to separate from the good. Suddenly you have influencers, which we used to call C and D list celebrities. You have fake news instead of trashy magazines. You have massive user-generated content video sites instead of you've been framed. And it's killing context. The rubbish indiscriminately juxtaposed next to the slivers of quality online also drags down the overall impact of advertising, which is crucial to fund the creation of content. People expect advertising around what they see, what they hear, and what they read. But people trust things that they see on the internet less than other channels, say TV, due to the lack of curation and the mass availability of everything online. This is massively important as advertising is, in advertising, as context is king. Appearing on a billboard or on TV doesn't just give you good dwell time, but it also signals that you have money, you are taking advertising seriously, and that there's a feeling that everyone is seeing the same ad at the same time. Wastage, defined as ads not targeting the lowest hanging fruit of people in market right now, which is a very digital thing, is actually the bits doing the hard work. It creates customers and it signals to people that it's a product for everyone. Wastage does not equal wasted. And frankly, it's quite opposite. Digital ads similarly achieve the complete opposite. It costs pennies to put an ad out there in some places, Ads are targeted to an individual. Not everybody sees the same ad. Old school wastage, where ads outside the target audiences in the market to purchase immediately, has been defined by fairly short-sighted consultancies as wasted ad spend. This may be technically true in ads that are served to bots and seen for less than a second, but it shows a criminal lack of understanding of how advertising works when ads are seen by humans and are measured by the same KPIs. Worse still, the quality, heritage, journalist-based news and content brands are having to lower themselves to try and compete with the crap content farms by creating clickbait content. This again serves to undermine any trust in the medium which we work in. Outside of the ease and the access and the content, the hardware and the platforms are designed to be deeply addictive, causing psychological and mental problems. There's anxiety and bullying amongst teenagers, which is up due to social media, primarily delivered on mobile phones. When I was at school, I was bullied and it stopped at 3:30, but now bullying is a 24/7 thing. When we're old and boring, mobile phones and social media will be seen the way sugars, fats and cigarettes are seen today. Dangerous, damaging, addictive substances that we just didn't understand. So what do we need? I think we need regulation and we need borders. I think we need more literal geographic borders and content pay borders that will allow some people to access some content and not for others. This will create spaces for people to congregate and create stronger and more considered points of views. This starts with people paying for news. Journalism holds politicians, the government and leaders responsible for their actions, and it informs the public. It is a vital and necessary tool for democracy in the way the homogenization of information on the internet undermines journalism, cheapens it and reduces its funding. We need to regulate hardware manufacturers, platforms and social platforms so that they take editorial responsibility for everything, and I mean everything, put on their platforms before it gets posted. I don't think scale and the scale of content being uploaded is a good enough argument. If you can't control it, you shouldn't be in charge of it. If that means drastically reducing how much there is on the platforms to give them a chance to vet it all, great. More curation, less crap, and raising the bar will only improve advertising impact, which is their revenue source. Running away from editorial responsibility under the guise of being a digital engineering firm or an architecture firm or a technical company is completely unacceptable when it allows terrorists to recruit, paedophiles to groom targets, or teenagers to be encouraged to self-harm. Just start off with the criticisms there. So what does this mean for the future? In the future, we will need to separate the internet into services, into information and content. So 3 different spaces. So 3 different ways to access the internet, 3 different uses: services, information, content. Services is the covert internet, the internet you don't see, powering the internet of things, the pipes of society, connecting banks and everything, the bits which we don't see, but that is the great connection. These pipes are funded by taxpayers and the hardware accessing the service is paid for by the individual. Information, the second type, is a tightly controlled platform of fact-based information and tightly vetted content controlled by joint legacy content bands, the government and platform groups designed to give information on news, science, education, listings, whatever. This is still a place for opinions, but it's monitored to provide balance, and facts are checked because opposing views are also presented. The journalistic content is behind a paywall because it's worth paying for. And then the content army is the Wild West, where you can put anything out and it looks pretty much like what we have today. You can throw it out as many individually targeted ads as you like, and it's not about long-term growth for advertisers. Advertising there is only about short-term sales. The beauty of this system is that it creates areas of trust, of curation, of data, and a variety of environments for advertisers to work within. Do you want to carry on your individual DR targeting? Great, stick it in the content section. It'll just be an arena of DM where you can't really build a brand, but you can target individuals regardless of the context to nudge them to buy. Do you want the quality environment to align your brand to? The information section of the internet will do that. It will be expensive and it'll be untargeted, which is beneficial because everyone will see it and everyone will know what people have seen it. Because it's expensive, creative agencies will really give a shit about the ad that they put in there, and they will make it good. Because it will be the only ad on the page, it will be scarce, and so prime positions will sell out, meaning that the clever planning will have to be done in a way ahead of its time, and the execution is simple, closer to the way that we plan TV than we do digital ads. It's no coincidence that a consistent thread through the IPA effectiveness winners is that TV plays a big part. It may not be as efficient as some digital channels, but it is more effective time and time and time and time again. On top of ads becoming more effective, this system will also create pockets of people occupying different parts of the internet and places where they do not have access to. People who are aligned to one side of the internet will be against the ways of the other, and true cultural development will be made. This is done because we will have trust in what we read, and we know that it will be curated, and we know it will be checked for the truth, and we know other people similar to us are reading it and trusted too. We need to make an internet as flawed as human society we need to make the internet as flawed as a human society to make it more inclusive, safer, more trusted, and ultimately a place where brands can grow. So thanks for listening. I hope it's interesting. Hit me up at Tweets by ASD if you disagree with me. I'd love being wrong. I'd love to learn from you. And again, thank you to Giles and for Gus for setting this up. You're a wonderful man, Giles. Thanks.